The timer says you are live. I don't necessarily always believe that. Let me go to the event page here real quick. If you see me live, go ahead and give me a shout in the chat. Events, there it is, happening now. Chat, likely story. LinkedIn events been kind of weird lately. I don't know why. Let me go on the trusty phone here. Go to me. This will make for a great video. Your videos, live. Happening now. Well, at least we got that. Okay. Seeing 0 eyeballs on the thing. At some point, I'll just start talking anyway. Okay. Well, I got Onye to react to the post. All right. Throw something in the chat. If you jump in here, you can tell me who you are and where you're coming from. As usual, I did a horrendous job of promoting this thing. That's sort of par for the course for me. But yeah, if you drop in, throw me a question or something so I can feel better about myself here. So this is Data Jobs Live, and in the interest of making a not too terrible YouTube video, I'll just go ahead and come on, seriously? Like the YouTube video is not coming up. I have zero confidence that I got one eyeball. Maybe that's me. I just turned my phone off. Let's see if the one eyeball goes away. Okay. If you have questions, this is a Q&A session, so it is all about you. Please go ahead and throw questions in the chat. If you're on LinkedIn, for some reason, I push a video from StreamYard and I can't really see. Yeah, there it is. Okay. Artesia dialing in from Colorado. Well, I'm sure that'll pop up in my StreamYard chat sometime in the next 30 seconds as LinkedIn user. But anyway, yeah, thanks for dropping by, Artesia. If you have questions, I will try and keep refreshing my LinkedIn notifications over here because for some reason it's not pushing live for me. Onye is here from Atlanta. Hey, Onye, how you doing? I'm going to go ahead and assume you go by Onye. If you really want me to attempt to pronounce your whole name, I'm actually not bad at that. But I really like getting people's names right, and that is a lot of letters. Sure you've heard that before. Got a message from somebody. Okay. Um, all right. So I don't have like the greatest agenda today. I was sitting here, I threw this out there to kind of talk about some upcoming things that I have. But what topics did we say we were going to talk about? Do, 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 do. Probably my usual topics, which is if you don't have a copy of my book, you should grab one. It's pretty cheap. It's $5 on Kindle. Sometimes they'll put it down to like 99 cents. But here it is. And honestly, like this book, it's sort of all of my pet topics, right? So I did if anybody knows Warren Wales, he does a lot of content on LinkedIn. I actually did his podcast today. It should be out next week. And he actually specifically asked me about the table of contents of the book. Nobody ever asked me about that before. Show comments on stage. I don't know why that's turned off. Anyway, okay. Comments take the stage. There you go. So if you throw a comment up there, it will pop up in real time. Neat. I've never seen that before. Good job, StreamYard. But yeah, so here's my book, and you can see it behind me too, the big copy. But going into the table of contents, these are sort of my pet topics, and I think I listed them sort of in the. There we go. Yep, there's me talking. Um, Onye asks, "What's a solid portfolio project?" Fascinating question. Thank you very much for that. So Onye, I don't remember if you're reading my book or not. I am kind of famously a portfolio hater, and not like it's not a super earned title. Okay, I hate on portfolio projects more than the average kind of person. I don't want to call myself an influencer, but person on LinkedIn, just because to me, what's up, Prometheus? To me, portfolio as far as a job gainer is a shot in the dark. It's a lottery ticket. And the reason for that is if you start looking at, like, talk to people that are in hiring, ask them if you get a resume, physical, electronic, whatever, and up at the top it says, Albert Bellamy, phone number, Cedar Point, North Carolina, and then it's got my LinkedIn. Are they going to click through to my LinkedIn? Yes. And then next to it, it says GitHub dot, slash Albert Bellamy or whatever my GitHub is. Are they going to click through to my GitHub? The majority of the time, that answer is no, unless you are going to be called upon in that job to be like a hardcore coder or something like that. So I take a bit of a dim view of portfolios just because the portfolio is not a high leverage job getting machine. And the funny thing is, I find it funny that certain influencers with much bigger audiences than me used to sing the praises of portfolio and say, like, portfolio is it, it's the biggest thing. And once I started saying the opposite, suddenly other influencers have changed their tune. I find that amusing. I don't know if it's because of me, but it certainly seems a bit coincidental. All that said, to answer your question, what's a solid portfolio project? As you might imagine, I have different guidance on that than most data people. Most people will start talking about the skills that you should demonstrate. Of course, LinkedIn's not working now. The skills that you should demonstrate, and use your main. If you're a Python guy, you should guy or gal, you should use Python, whatever. All that's great. All that's great. The most important thing about a portfolio project is that it stretches you, like it makes you better, because the odds are nobody's ever going to see it. But it is, if it's a challenging project and if it's something that's relevant, it's going to stretch you. So make sure it's something that you don't want to do paint by numbers. Don't do that. Fun with numbers is a waste of time. There's a million different ways to do the Titanic data set, but everybody's done it. You want to do something that's challenging. You want to do something that's challenging to go find the data, to gather data. You want to do something that's challenging to clean data, because that is relevant. You're going to have to do that on a job. You want to do something that is relevant. And by relevant, I don't just mean your skill set and data stuff. I mean relevant to a domain. And that's another thing that's a tune that I started singing, and suddenly, like, the Pied Piper, other bigger influencers started singing the same tune. Funny to me. Anyway, but yeah, domain specific. Why? First chapter in my book. Not the first chapter is about me and how I became a data analyst, but that's a short one. The first chapter of substance in my book talks about the analyst identity. Again, something that nobody was talking about till I put a name on it. Now suddenly, you see all sorts of influencers talking about it. Analyst identity is who you are and what you do. If you're at a backyard barbecue and somebody says, "What do you do for work?" and you go a little bit beyond, "I work in data," what are you going to tell them? When I was at Analect, I was a senior marketing analyst and working in attribution, if people wanted to know more. What do I do now? I'm a senior analytics consultant for Alteryx, in senior analytics consultant in the software industry or the tech industry, something like that. That is my analyst identity. It's a one-liner. What do you do for work? It's also should probably be your LinkedIn headline. But your identity, your analyst identity, is incomplete if you don't have a domain that you specialize in. All right. So to me, solid portfolio project is relevant to your skills. It stretches you, it challenges you, it makes you have to go end to end, finish the darn thing. It's the most important thing. Done is better than perfect. But The next most important thing is it is specific to something. If you want to specialize in real estate data science, your project should be in real estate. If you want to specialize in supply chain, your project should be in supply chain. Why? Because that is where you can get reps, you can make mistakes, you can gain experience, you can gain stories that you can present in an interview, all good things. But that's what develops that analyst identity. So that when you say, I choose this domain, then now it's more than just raise your hand, I'm in marketing. Are you? Where do you work? Okay. That's the imposter syndrome. People are going to punch holes in it and be like, you don't have a paycheck that says that. Okay. So yeah, solid portfolio project, skill relevant, domain relevant, stretches you and makes you a better analyst. Okay. Yes, it's fine. Thank you. Daniel is glad to be here from Canada. I'm glad to have you here, Daniel. Yeah, I don't know what's going on with StreamYard. I'm getting like 0 comments. Can't post comments to some destinations. Yeah, I know that. Okay. If somebody wants to jump over to YouTube and try and post a comment and see if it's coming through, I don't have YouTube up. Okay. Artesia said it is a great book I have yet to finish. Awesome, Artesia. Well, love to. Hey, if you do read the book, or even if you don't read the book, if you buy the book, hop on Amazon and give me a review, because that's what's going to give the book some legs. Okay. So I had a big 99-cent sale right when it came out, and that was great. And I got #1 bestseller. It's not on the cover here because this is the first hardback I got, but you can see it down there and down in the corner. I'm going to try and point to it right there. See the little gold medallion? #1 Amazon bestseller. We hit that in 5 different book categories, which was amazing. I was hoping for one. We hit the #1 spot in 5 different categories. Now we're still kind of up there, like data mining. I want to say we hover around like the 6 or 7 mark, but I'd love to get up there. I mean, I'd love to duke it out with Joe Reese and Fundamentals of Data Engineering, which I have on my bookshelf. Um, yeah, I topped him twice. I topped him for like a week, then we dropped down, and I had another little surge, and I topped him again, and I talked trash to him both times. But yeah, I love Joe Reese. Joe Reese is an awesome dude. If you don't know him, he's wonderful. Um, Prometheus says, "Hey yo, what up, Prometheus? What about putting your portfolio on LinkedIn?" Yeah, I'd love to, Onya, if you can get a little more specific about that. Um, so yeah, there's a spot on LinkedIn where you can put your portfolio. Got people connecting with me. Awesome. 13 people watching. Dang. Okay. I will have to go to the notifications to get these questions. Semper Fi, Brian. How are you? Thanks for coming. Sometimes I can sound like I got a little bit of an edge on some of these events. I don't mean to do that. Oh, snap. You're live right now. Yes, Prometheus, I am. I'm just reading my DMs live on air here. Okay. Faith wants to talk data jobs. What's going on, Faith? Artesia says she'll leave a review on Amazon. Amazing. Thank you so much. We have 18 reviews. I'd love to get into like, the 40 or 50 range. That'd be great. I think that would get us some kind of sustained success there. Now, for those of you considering writing a book, I know this wasn't on the topic list, but I'll just talk about it real briefly, because people have been asking me, and like coworkers, and it's amazing how many people out there they're like this close to writing a book, and they never quite close the gap. Absolutely recommend doing it. It was a wonderful experience. It was a tremendous learning experience. This was what they call a dirty rep. And if you lift, you know what a dirty rep is. If you don't lift, if you're just a fail forward type, if you're a growth mindset individual, you know what dirty reps are. All right. It's getting out there, it's getting through the thing. Like that portfolio project. Done is better than perfect. Okay. This book is far from perfect. I will tell you that. I can't, I'm not going to reach back there and grab, but I've got an edit copy behind me that is just, it looks like somebody like bled all over it. It's terrible. So many things that I want to change, and I will do a 2.0 version next year. But Benjamin is from Austin. Keep it weird, and he will have to check out the book. Awesome, Benjamin. Please let me know how you like it. But what was I talking about? Oh, writing a book. So I did hire a coach. I say hired, like I jumped on the guy's class on how to publish a book on Amazon, and it was I want to say I paid a couple of $100, but it was money well spent because I still haven't finished the book that I was working on last year. I figured I'd get this one done and then turn around and finish that one. But yeah, resume revamp the book. It's coming. It's coming. Probably mid-year, I want to say. But so I jumped on a guy's class. The guy's name is Jim Edwards. If you want to look him up, highly recommend him. He doesn't pay me anything. Um, but I jumped on the guy's class to do my book, and it was fantastic, just amazing. And I probably would never have written this book. Certainly would have still been struggling probably to get the other book done if I hadn't done that. Books do not make you money. If you are George R.R. Martin or Stephen King or someone like that, yeah, okay. But even they didn't make any money early on. Books don't make you money. Nonfiction books about data analytics careers, they sure as heck don't make money. And I know a handful of other people. Annie Nelson wrote one a while back. Yeah, there's a handful of other people that have written analytics careers book. They are not money makers, folks. But what a book can do is kind of refine your thinking on a topic. And so I'll talk about that a little bit. But anybody that's interested in writing a book, hit me up with questions. Happy to talk about it. So I can't get to the notes on this event, but let's figure this job market out together. What we're going to talk about: resumes. If anybody's got a resume question, hit me up. I do resumes for pay. If you would like to, um, if you would like to hire me to do your resume, I am. Boy, look, for the next 4 days, I am still doing a wedding month special. So if you don't know, my son got married 2 weeks ago, and so I did a special for the month of January where if you go in and you get either a resume or a LinkedIn profile upgrade done by me, if you put in the promo code wedding at checkout, it's $100 off either a resume or a LinkedIn profile upgrade. Um, I think I also so I have coaching on there too. If you want just an hour of one-on-one data analytics career coaching, I also offer that. That is also $100 off. And I generally charge $200 an hour for that. So that's a half price for the next 4 days. And all you got to do, you buy it in the next 4 days, you're good. The code expires on January 31st. But yeah, so that is still going on. And you can get all of that at themajordata.com. But this is not a pitch meeting here. I'm not here to sell stuff. Trust me, I would have been better prepared if I was. But so talking about resumes, the most important thing, like the overall mindset of doing your resume is, does this convey value? And by this, I mean everything. Every stinking thing on that resume needs to convey value. Okay. Think of think of the words, the lines, the hyphens, the everything. Everything on your resume is like it's a tenant. Let's say you're a landlord, you got a big apartment building, and every single element on that resume is one of your tenants, and they're all behind on their rent. And you gotta figure out who gets kicked out. Okay, this sounds kind of mean, but think of it that way. They've all got to earn their keep. Every single word on that resume needs to serve a purpose. So if you've got a bullet on there that does not convey your value, delete it. If you've got excess verbiage, what I call word salad, if you've got these long verb phrases leading into bullets and they don't add to the value of the bullet or they don't help explain the accomplishment you did, get rid of it. If you've got bullets about like day-to-day stuff that you did that's not an actual accomplishment, like something with some individual impact, get rid of it. Less is more with a resume. 9 out of 10 clients that I get, their problem with their resume is there's too much stuff on there. Very rarely, easily 1 out of 10 or less, do I have to actually do some work to get more content into the resume. It's almost always the opposite way. They're printing it out in like 4-point font. Um, just thinking, whoa, this is going to be the thing that helps me. Most of it's not. Okay. Daniel's question was, in this new era of AI, what specific strategies can early analysts adopt to be relevant? Wowie. Okay. So I'm assuming, Daniel, that you're talking about. Nah, shouldn't assume that. I was going to say, I'm assuming you're talking about what can you do with AI to try and stay relevant. But as I read that back, that's not really what you're saying. How can you stay relevant in the era of AI? Awesome question. I get the feeling that any data influencer that had an AMA session or something like this, they're probably going to get that question. So, but I'm glad somebody had to ask it, Daniel. So thank you. In this new era of AI, what specific strategies can early analysts adopt to be relevant? So, just reading between the lines there, Daniel, you're right to have some concerns about the viability of an entry level analyst and the danger of AI in some form making those entry level jobs unnecessary. I will say, contrary to some, I don't know if it's even popular opinion anymore, contrary to some panicked voices out there, it's not happening yet. All of the layoffs that I know of, regardless of the company, I don't know of any significant layoffs that have happened because of AI, because AI takes Albert Bellamy's job and now Albert Bellamy is expendable. That ain't happening. It hasn't happened anywhere that I've worked or hasn't happened to anyone I know. Happy to be proven wrong, but everything that I've seen is like Microsoft lays off 10,000 people and Amazon lays off 5,000 people. And every time you see some headline like that, there's something else going on. It's not AI. Everything that I have seen in the tech sector, and certainly everything that I've seen at Alteryx, I took my shirt off for this, but that's where I work. Everything that I've seen at my employer and from all the employers of people in my network is AI means you got to do more, but your job's not going anywhere. Now, bigger picture, what does AI mean for the analyst industry writ large? It means that the days of the head down techie are numbered. And by head down techie, I mean this person. You don't look up, you don't talk to people, you don't communicate, you don't do like visualizations, you don't do briefs to the C-suite, none of that. You are typey, coding, SQLing all day. That person is going to go away. That job is going to go away. And so that's why I think you see the people that are struggling out there that were in industry and now are either laid off or something or having trouble finding a spot is because they can't communicate. And when we can talk about that in any arena, I mean, you talk about that in resume, you can talk about that in networking, your LinkedIn profile, your interviewing, all of that is communication. And I go over that heavily in my course, which we'll talk about. But what specific strategies can early analysts adopt to be relevant? Well, how you get to be irrelevant is by being a head down techie. You can't communicate. You can't think critically. You don't have domain knowledge. In order to think critically in a domain, you have to understand the domain and the business question. So that's why specialization is now so important, because the days of being able to go, I want to work in marketing. Now I want to work in manufacturing. Now I want to work in real estate. Now they're going away. And why? Because if you get hired in healthcare, they want you to understand healthcare, how it works, the language, the KPIs, all of the things that matter. You need to know that. And why? Because the interchangeable data analyst is now largely replaceable, not even necessarily by AI, just by BI platforms like Alteryx, Power BI, ClickSense, Tableau. They can all do the work that used to be required of a data analyst. That ain't even AI. That's just a Viz and data munging platform. So specific strategy you can adopt to be relevant, specialize in a domain, for one. For two, cultivate an analytical mindset by taking on challenges, taking on projects, taking on work that stretches you and makes you learn new things. Those people that are constantly learning are going to stay employed. Those people that have an analytical mindset and can think critically and can think outside the box and find solutions where none are immediately apparent, or find solutions where the solution eludes the paint by numbers people, those are the ones that are going to stay employed. So, and I know that's not a popular answer, and that's not an answer that's going to make me any money, whether it's selling books or selling courses or selling coaching. That's not a popular answer. People don't like hearing that. And the reason why they don't like hearing that is because it's a squishy answer. It's not, it can't be like codified and quantified. I don't sit here and tell people like, hey, you don't have a job, do another Python course. That'll do it. No, it won't. I mean, it might, but it probably won't. And the reason for that is like the people telling you to do that, check and see how often they're actually selling the courses that they advocate. Now, full disclosure, I'm selling the courses I advocate, but that came about organically. Yeah, that sounds silly now. That came about organically because that was my belief and that was my experience, that those are the important things. Okay. Daniel's got another question. This is so bad trying to follow this in my stupid notifications log, but whatever. Yeah. Daniel asks, how many bullet points would you advise per job experience? Per job, it depends. And that there's another squishy answer. I suck at being specific. Generally, like you want more bullets for your most recent job, certainly your most recent relevant job. So if you just came off an analytics job and now you're between jobs and you're looking for a new one, you want the bulk to be in that most recent job, and you want those bullets to be the most detailed. I'll generally aim for 3 to 5. That's a pretty good sweet spot if it's relevant. If the work is not relevant, you can go 1 or even 0. I got a lot of people that, they're trying to show work history sometimes, but 3 jobs ago they were a waitress at Denny's, or they were, making lattes at Starbucks. Everybody knows what a Starbucks barista does. You don't need to list bullets for that. And you don't need to like try and make an accomplishment out of, I counted the cash drawer at the end of the night. Like, don't do that. Don't play that game. So how many bullet points per job experience? Relevant job experience, I will generally aim for 3 to 5. Now, there are exceptions, and I have written resumes with significant exceptions for every rule. I wrote a resume for a lady that I believe had like 8 or maybe 10 bullets on her most recent job. Why? Because it was the only relevant one, and she had a staggering stack of accomplishments from that job. And it was just like, this is all gold. And it was all stuff that would spur a good conversation in an interview. So I kind of wildly violated my own rule. But you want unfortunately, the resume needs to have kind of a logical flow to it. And so when you look at a resume and somebody's got like 3 or 4 jobs, you want to see some kind of symmetry to it. If you look at my resume, and I could pop it up on the screen here if somebody wants to look at an example, but I think every job that I've had since the Marine Corps, I've probably got like right in there, like 3 to 5 bullets per. And it stacks up with a nice little symmetry. If you have like 10 on one and 2 on another, it just looks weird. I know it's not the greatest thing to evaluate a resume on, but sorry about that. Okay. I'm going to try and get back into the comments here and see if I missed any. Here of AI. Okay, yeah, I did miss a couple. Brian says, hopefully this screen doesn't bonk out again. I'm not going to hit play on it. Brian says, I'm going to University of San Diego for a master's in business analytics in fall of this year. Congratulations. Awesome. USD Toreros, I believe. Yes. Anyway, I think so. I lived in San Diego for a while. What advice do you have for someone going to college for data analytics? Wow, that is a good question. Let me chew on that for a second. Advice for someone going to college for data analytics. Here's what I'll say. Your college degree is what it is. The curriculum is what it is. I hope, and what I know of USD is it's a great school. So, I don't know anything about their analytics program, but I'm guessing it's good. And San Diego's a pretty good, Southern California is a great tech, it's not Silicon Valley, but it's a great tech sector. So USD, I'm sure, has good tech programs. What I would say is, do your thing in the program. Constantly be looking for extra stuff. And it's like if I could go back and I did a master's through the Marine Corps and I was swamped with work. I mean, I could have done no extra work looking back on that. But if I had a kind of a regular, like I'm going to college all day and then have study time at night, not a 9 to 5 job during the day, I would look for everything extra that I could. And by extra, I mean network like crazy. Network within that program, network with the other students, go out to coffee with them, network with people in industry. Plenty of them right there in San Diego for you. Talk to your professors before and after class. Boy, oh, do I wish I had done that throughout my college career. I did it. My last year was at University of Maryland, and I was amazed at how much easier college was if I was just on a first name basis with my professors and they knew who I was. That is a tremendous network right there. If those people are recent and current in the tech industry, highly recommend that. So that I think is good advice. Network, network, network. Look for outside reading. Professional journals, books. I happen to know a good one. But yeah, books on statistics. Plenty of good ones out there. And it's funny, like now books on stats and logic and probability and all that stuff, like people love them. They're out there all the time. Books on thinking. Thinking Fast and Slow is a pretty good one. I'm doing The Organized Mind right now. Yeah, just books on building your analytical process, understanding how your mind works. That's what I would do if I had it to do over again. But yeah, great question. Our teacher asked a few minutes ago, what is my take on cover letters? If you want a cover letter, go ahead and write one. I have personally over 200 paying clients that bought my full resume package. I have written one cover letter. I have had to mildly talk 2 or 3 other clients out of a cover letter, and I do charge extra for it. So it's not like I'm doing it for charity. I have never seen a situation that required a cover letter. I have also never seen a situation where I thought someone's situation would have been improved by a cover letter. Most hiring managers view them as like a throwaway, an annoyance. So I would say my question would be, what do you need a cover letter for? Do you have something that cannot be explained in your resume that you feel needs like an essay explanation to that is going to keep you from getting an interview? That to me is the only situation where I would ever write a cover letter. If there is something that is just such an eyesore on the resume, it's so egregious that you think nobody's ever going to give me an interview based on my resume, I have to explain this date gap or whatever. But I can't even think of what that would be because I've done work on resumes that covers up, like woman gives birth to her baby and takes 3 to 5 years out of the workforce. I'll write that into the experience section, and I've made things like that look like magic. Um, somebody gets laid off. They separate from the military and they have PTSD. I've written that artfully into a resume. Didn't touch on the PTSD, but just written an entry into experience talking about, career intermission, training period. And then we just sit there and play up like, what did you do? People have gone through caretaker periods. So that's generally what people want cover letters for, is if they find something in their resume that they feel needs to be explained. Short of that, there's really not much in the resume that needs to be explained. People will think they need a cover letter to explain a pivot. Like, hey, if your resume says you were a school teacher and now you're applying for a data analyst job and it says data analyst at the top of your resume and you got a bunch of data analytics projects, they've seen that before. They know what that means. You don't need a letter to explain it to them. So yeah, that's my take on cover letters. I have yet to see a situation that needs one. Now people will get tripped up because they'll go on the the job board, which is usually like the individual company's job board. They'll go on the job board and they'll see there's a spot there to enter a cover letter, and they think it's required. I've never seen a situation where it was. It's just a place to put it because they know some people write them. But once again, I would say 99 times out of 100, if 100 resumes come in and 3 of them have a cover letter, those 3 cover letters are just getting thrown out and you've just wasted your time. Yeah, never heard a hiring manager say, "Oh boy, I definitely was not going to call this person in for an interview, but then I read their cover letter and they were good." So all of that is anecdotal. Do you? But yeah, I personally would not do something that is likely to annoy someone in the hiring chain, and extra paper annoys. Okay. Okay, there's Daniel's bullet points question. Onye says, I haven't ever had an analytics job. You don't need to come off the top rope like that, Onye. Just, hey, I'm not currently an employed data analyst. What I did in the Army had nothing to do with data analytics. I would question that. I know I looked at Onye's, Onye and I connected a couple of weeks back, I want to say. I know I looked at what you did in the Army. I would caution you against saying I didn't do any analytics stuff. Staff sergeant, paramedic, didn't network security. Oh, were you a field medic? Okay. Yeah, I would just say, hey, staff sergeant's not a job title. I mean, mad respect, I failed to accomplish the rank of staff sergeant. I will just say that I took the easy way out and became an officer instead. But yeah, I would just say staff sergeant's not a job title. You want to try and make that. I could probably share my screen and show you what I'm looking at. The hell. But yeah, just staff sergeant is a rank. It's not a job title. So I would say like at least put what you did on there. So I'm guessing it's field medic. Just say, field medic or medical staff or something like that if you want to kind of halfway translate it. Um, Executed 300 aeromedical evacuations. That's legit. Led and trained medical teams. What I find is analysts find ways to analyze stuff, as Matt Bratton would say. So don't downplay like individual projects that maybe you did. Um, Generally, when I interview a client, I can draw some things out of them, and then it's like magic when I say it back to them and I say, "So what you're telling me is," and I say it back to them in analytics speak, and they're like, oh, "I never thought of it that way before." Yeah, that's why I'm the professional resume writer. And anyway, um, so what I would say is don't discount individual things that you did. I have I have played up for people on resumes things as seemingly simple as a stay-at-home mom who did the family budget on an Excel spreadsheet. When I got done with that, that thing was gold, and she got a job. Now I don't know if it was necessarily because of that, you know, but it definitely was at least partially because of the resume I wrote her. So yeah, haven't ever had an analytics job. Just say, hey, I'm a prospective analyst, or I'm an analyst looking for work. Just kind of sounds a little classier there. Haven't ever had an analytics job. No, you don't need to say all that. But what I did in the Army had nothing to do with data analytics. I know you know this, Onye. I know you know this, but be proud of your service to your country and just say, hey, I was a field medic. Let me tell you about the things that I had to count up. When we had a casualty collection point, I had to count up 300 fake casualties, just random lazy soldiers laying around on cots. And I had to triage them and I had to sort them into categories. And I had to, once you start saying it like that, like you're going to have people like, oh, wow, you were analyzing humans. So, yeah, go ahead. Only got a half one there. Should I take it if I'm going to refresh the screen because that's the only way I can get these comments? You know, the more technology advances, the more little stupid hiccups we have. Sorry about that. Should I take it off? I don't know. What are we referring to there? Oh, should you take your Army service time off of your resume? Absolutely not. No, no, no. That, and I think like looking at your LinkedIn, Onye, you've only got 2 jobs on there. So yeah, absolutely highlight them. I don't take off, like if people only got like 3 or 4 jobs and the first one was like flipping burgers at Wendy's, which was my first job, I don't take that off of there. I don't have it on mine because that was 30 years ago. So, but yeah, Gunny Han put me on the spot. Yeah, you did. Stinking Gunnies. Anyway, thanks for answering my question. You are welcome, Brian. I really wish I could put these up on the screen. Stupid StreamYard. Anyway, cool. This is gold. Thanks, man. You are welcome, sir. John Michael Strickland. I don't believe we're familiar. We're not connected. Hello, John Michael. I got a couple of connection requests. Maybe you're one of them. If not, toss me a connection. John Michael Strickland asks, what would be your recommendation to someone who is a subject matter expert in supply chain, 25 plus years experience and a master's? That sounds like a subject matter expert who will soon have another master's in data science. Okay. Who might be looking for might be looking for a position that would maximize their income potential in the next 5 years. What positions or companies would be a good fit for this skill set? Okay. Okay. So when you say 25 years supply chain, are you talking about, is that military? Yeah. Retired Army Chief Warrant Officer 4. Okay. Yeah, I figured. Okay. Let's see. Hold on. Let me go back to that. I'm looking at John Michael Strickland's profile here. Okay, you've been working for Toyota for 3 years. Neato. That's cool. Yeah, working on another master's. Okay. Okay, so Army supply for 25 plus. Dude, you were a few months shy of 3 decades there, big dog. Okay. Army supply for just shy of 30 years. Close enough so as to make no difference. You can have 2 masters. I didn't see what the first master's was, but I'm guessing, military standard, organizational leadership or something like that. Master's in data science, and you are maximizing your income potential. Hey, I get the gnarliest problems that I get as a consultant out of Alteryx are spatial analytics problems. I don't know, and it's a lot of it is they'll either be like logistics and supply chain companies or companies with a very robust like hub and spoke thing going on. Just wrapped up one for a very large company that you've heard of, but I shall remain nameless, but they do cell phones and they ask if you can hear them. And I've got one going on now for another company you've heard of that does grocery stores. So big supply chain thing. I would just say if they've got, if a company's got crap to ship all over the place, that's a good one. Yeah, wouldn't expect a cell phone company to be like a big spatial analytics problem, but the other, grocery chain, like regional, big national, not regional, national, regional, but like, half the country type regional, not like Piggly Wiggly where it's like 3 states. But yeah, big grocery chain, I would expect, yeah, that's going to be a large supply chain problem. Big box retailers, I will say that they don't pay me anything, but I would definitely, if I was ever laid off, I have friends at Home Depot and they love it. And Home Depot would definitely be one of the places I would go apply, because from what I've seen, they treat their analysts and data scientists well. They pay well. It's good job security, great company. You probably would not have too much to complain about if you were a supply chain analyst at Home Depot or data scientist. Okay. Yeah, so big box, obviously, major retailers, Walmart. I do know a couple of people at Walmart. They seem fairly happy. I did briefly apply for an internship at Walmart, and applying for their internship was an ordeal. So take that with a grain of salt. But yeah, anything like that, and obviously, like actual shipping freight companies, the big brown trucks. I got a job offer from them through SkillBridge on my way out. So yeah, so some of those are great companies. But my recommendation, for somebody looking for companies to target, is get out there and make some friends. So John Michael, I don't know if you did SkillBridge. You can still do, I mean, obviously you've got cred in the field and now you're getting another degree. You can still do SkillBridge on your way out. I just did a podcast today. My talking muscles should be warmed up. Anyway, stumbling all over myself. But yeah, go out and talk to people, make some friends. But talk to the companies that have to ship stuff all over the dang place. Trucking companies, sure. If you hit me up, if you send me a connection request and you hit me up, I've got one contact. She's an influencer in the supply chain not supply chain analytics, but supply chain operations. And she's just a whiz. So I'll put you in touch with her. Positions or companies. Yeah, positions, supply chain data scientist. I mean, that's a real thing. So that's what I would do. Recommend a book to boost critical thinking or problem solving ability. Ooh, good question. Alabi Ibrahim. Alabi, we're not connected. Send me a connection request. Give me a second because I've got a bunch and I need to look at them to think of them. Okay. There are some business books that I found very informative as far as critical thinking / analytics. 0 to 1 is a big one. Now 0 to 1 it's kind of specific to business and entrepreneurship, but if you read it, what you'll know, first of all, it's a page turner. I mean, you can't put it down. I couldn't. Second of all, if you read it, you'll realize, yes, he's talking about starting a business, but he's more talking about systems thinking and growth mentality and just learning how to get out there and take dirty reps and do stuff. So that's one that I love. What else for thinking? Ultra Learning is awesome. That's more genetic to learning. The Almanac of Naval Ravikant. Great one there. Will fly in the face of a lot of your assumptions. Yeah, just as Will Hunting would say, stuff that blows your hair back. What else? John C. Maxwell's pretty good. I've got Everyone Communicates, Few Connect. That's a pretty good one. The Power of Habit. I never finished that one, but that's a great one. Yeah, I'm trying to think. These are mostly How to Win Friends and Influence People. I mean, you can't go too far wrong with that. So that should get you started. Another one I like. This one has overtly religious themes, Christian religious themes, but Don't Give the Enemy a Seat at Your Table. Love that one. Mindset, critical thinking, kind of how your mind works. Love it. But yeah, problem solving ability. If you know Nick Singh, he is a data science influencer. He has a website called Data Lemur. Love it. I was one of the OGs on Data Lemur. I was in there doing. I don't even like SQL, and I was in there doing SQL problems because Nick Sing's a fun guy. Um, but ace the data science interview, always good. And yeah, and then it's kind of an oldie now, but goodie. But dang it, I'm blanking on the title. It's Kirill Eremenko's book, Confident Data Skills. That's it. Confident Data Skills by Kirill Eremenko. Great one for fundamentals of data science and just how it applies to problem solving. Because I think there's a big disconnect there sometimes between the technical data things that we do and like how do these actually solve problems. I feel like data scientists especially get wrapped around the axle on technical processes, and that's a big challenge. Anytime I do a data science resume, what I find is they've got all this gobbledygook about I improved the accuracy of the model from 73 to 82%. And they stare at me like a deer in the headlights and I say, so what does that mean? And that's what I'm talking about, that disconnect between data dorks, head down techies that can only understand their own accuracy and KPIs and model tuning and all that garbage. And what does that actually mean to the business? So when you tell them, how did this move the needle? What did this do for the business? They draw a blank and then they don't get a job. Okay. So there's a few books for you, kind of around the margins. It's not all like how to critically think. Okay. Our teacher says, oh my God, I am that stay-at-home mom budgeting in Excel. Yes. There you go. All right, RTJ. Yeah. So she says, let me sign up for your services. Hey, look, my resumes are great and my LinkedIn upgrades are great. And as such, they are not cheap. They're also not expensive. They are, I've had many people, even at my current price point, tell me I'm wildly undercharging. And I agree because I know what my resumes do, and I've seen other resume experts charge the same amount for garbage, just chewed oatmeal. It's terrible. And I've had people go to other resume experts, pay them, get a terrible product, bring said terrible product to me, and pay me to fix it. And then they get a job. But all that to say, hey, my time is not free. But Artesia, stay-at-home mom, if you want me to just give you, and this goes for anybody that's here tonight, tell me you were here tonight, give me some nugget, whatever your favorite part or whatever funny or pithy or silly thing I said. But just, give me some kind of social proof that you were here. And if you want to just send me your resume, I'll give it a look see. And and just give you some pointers. I generally will do that for free for people that I'm connected with, and especially if you're stay-at-home mom, I'm with you. All right, let's see. Let me refresh again and see if I'm missing any here. You guys are killing it. I mean, these are awesome questions. Really enjoy. Okay, John Michael clarifying yes in 3 years with Toyota. Got that. Property book officer. Okay. Supply chain was my first master's. Cool. John Michael would like to have a one-on-one conversation. Yeah, send me a DM. We'll talk. Amir comes in with Team Squirrel because Amir is a SQL head and he's a silly man. All right, what's up, Amir? Amir and I are Alteryx. We were Alteryx fans before I became an Alteryx employee. So love him, love Amir. Amir's a good dude. Okay, Orgy Stanley Chidera. What is up, brother? Just joined. I heard you mentioned Matt B. I always do. I can't get through a session without mentioning Matt Bratton. In most cases, have heard him talk about you a lot as a great guy doing great things in the data space. Awesome. We talk each other up. We're ride or die, me and Matt Bratton. Have watched some of your podcasts with him. Oh boy, is there a question here? Okay, cool. Thank you. You're welcome. Awesome. Got through. Is this a question? Let's see, this is a DM. Sorry for the delay. Oh, okay. Nope, a client. Okay. Cool. So those are all the questions I see in the chat. If anybody has more, I suppose there are people on YouTube. I feel really bad because I feel like, nope, no comments. Okay, cool. We got a handful of views on YouTube, but I'm looking at my phone. There's no comments coming in. So, all right. If you're on YouTube, throw a comment. I'm honestly curious if the YouTube comments will come up in the StreamYard chat here, because clearly the LinkedIn ones aren't supposed to. Anyway, that's so weird. Yeah, last time I did like a StreamYard event like a couple of weeks ago and it worked fine. Oh well. Cool. I'll just keep refreshing. So, what else were we going to talk about? What's in my book? What have we not covered yet? Like refreshing. I brain dumped all of this once I wrote it. I'm just kidding. AI wrote the whole thing. But you know that's a lie. Okay, thanks for your time. You're welcome. So what do we talk about? So we talked about analyst identity. Yes. Pitch, that's a kind of build on analyst identity. Well, if you want to talk about that, jump on the book or I'll talk about the course here. LinkedIn, absolutely. Anybody get a question about LinkedIn? I'm happy to answer those. Y'all know I am an absolute, I was about to say a bad word. I'm an absolute simp for LinkedIn. I suppose that's not that bad of a word. Hopefully that doesn't get us crushed on YouTube. But yeah, the biggest thing about LinkedIn is just hit all the wickets. Get all of the things filled in with a good entry. So it drives me insane. And it drives me insane in a way that like, you know, like no. Why has it got to be that way? It drives me insane when I see a person lamenting on LinkedIn that they are doing everything right and cannot find a job. Like, why God, why? When's going to be my time? And they're just going off and people are like, you got this, you're good. Oh, we got your back, CFBR, like somebody hire this person. First thing I do is click on their LinkedIn profile. What do I see? I'm doing everything right. Their banner is blank. Their profile picture is like an extreme close up of like their nose, or it's like a picture they took in the car from like low angle, or it's a picture where someone else was cropped out and they're wearing a tuxedo because it's like their buddy's wedding. And then you scroll down and you're like, their headline is aspiring data analyst, and their about section is AI slop because it was written by LinkedIn's AI bot. And you keep going down and their experience section has like no descriptions in the bullets and they have 37 skills out of 100 and you're not doing everything right. Fill it all out. Trust me, it makes a difference. You are findable if you fill everything out on LinkedIn. It's just a thing. And that's the number one thing I tell you. Now you can geek out all dang day long on LinkedIn and and fine tune that thing and search engine optimize it and the whole 9 yards. And if you want to do that, do that. But the goal with LinkedIn, at least in the early going, is get every element barely adequate. Okay, but write it yourself. Don't do. You can have AI help you, but don't have it write it for you because then it's just going to be slop. How long should the about section be on LinkedIn? Artesia, the about section is searchable, and that is how searchers are going to find you, and recruiters are going to pull up your profile and potentially come looking at you for a job. Now, it doesn't happen often, and it often happens that it's like spam or some sort of weird thing. But your about section should be as long as it can be, which I think is 2,600 characters. Use them all. Like, write the thing out roughly the length. If it's a little too long, drop that bad boy into ChatGPT and say, make this 2,600 characters. Don't make anything up. Use my words. You got to like give it guidelines. But yeah, that's like AI is great for that stuff. But yeah, it should be as long as possible. But just like the resume, every word should be value added. Don't have any word slop in there. Word salad. Yeah, networking. I had a young lady the other day, and I was talking to her, and she's not here tonight because I'm not gonna. In case she's watching, or in case she ever sees this, I'm not gonna embarrass her. Anyway, let's just say don't ever self deselect. Okay. Don't ever assume that you can't do a job. Don't ever assume that you can't afford something that you know you want or need. Um, all right, I'll leave it at that. Just get out there, ask for things. The worst somebody can say is no. Um, Networking, but totally separate conversation. This young lady said, I don't know how to network. I don't think I've ever heard anyone admit that before. I've definitely had people for whom that was 100% true, but they're generally too proud to admit it. Lots of people out there don't know how to network. It's fine to say that. I'm glad she was honest about that. Networking is nothing more than getting out there and making some friends. It really is that simple. Get out there on LinkedIn. Just think, how do I find people that are like me? Like me, meaning you're a job seeker, you're in the data industry, if you've picked a domain, you're in manufacturing, you're in marketing, how do you go out there and you find those people? Lots of ways. You can search for everybody that says marketing analyst in their title. You can go and find in 10-day data analyst, I call the Mount Rushmore. Go pick your Mount Rushmore of relevant influencers that you want to follow. So you go out there and you say, some of these guys don't produce as much anymore, but I go out there when I first got on LinkedIn and I said, my favorite influencers are Alex Freeberg, Ken G, Luke Baruch, Tina Huang, Kate Strachan. Whatever. I had way more than that, but I recommend keeping it to kind of a short list. But those people, where do your people hang out? If you're following Tina Huang, guess what? All the other people like you are also following Tina Huang. If Tina Huang posts something on YouTube or on LinkedIn or wherever, where are your people? They're in the comments. Go find them. I have made so many great connections over the years by just sending a connection request to somebody and saying, hey, I saw your comment on Ken G's latest blog post. Love it. Super relevant. Looks like we're into the same stuff. Would you like to connect and grab coffee or whatever? But just, hey, would you like to connect? It doesn't have to be anything more elaborate than that. 9 times out of 10, if you say that much to people, and if you show some sort of special interest in them, hey, I see you went to University of Tennessee. That's interesting. Were you ever in the stadium singing Rocky Top? I've always wanted to do that. It's that easy. Just show some genuine interest in people, specific to them, so that it doesn't look like a ChatGPT cut and paste invite. And find some common ground. Where are your people? Where do they hang out? Probably the same place you hang out. Just go find them. Like, instead of spending all your time navel gazing at the influencer, take a look to your left and right. Who else is in the comments? Who else is reacting to the content? All right, let me refresh this one more time. Now, I could talk all day about networking. This is not a dedicated networking session, so we'll kind of leave it there. So yeah, in the book it goes LinkedIn network. How do we get to 100 skills? Oh, Artesia, you are there. Every person that's putzing around on LinkedIn looking for jobs has 100 skills. Now, are they all like heavy hitters, like Grand Slam, like Python, SQL, Tableau, R? No, they're not. Not for most people. I mean, Ken G's probably got 100 that are like just insane. Also, he does like 7-day long water fasts because he's just evolved to a higher level. Anyway, I digress. How do we get to 100 skills? You've got 100. Just go get on there and list them. Now, what you want to do is if you go get your 100 and you're stretching things a little bit. So what I mean by stretching things, you put statistics and financial statistics and economic statistics and statistical analysis. And if you're kind of hitting the same well-worn path with different terms, now you do want to get 100. I say that hypocritically because I got like 83 on mine, so I really should take my own medicine. But you do want to get to 100. However, when you learn something new, you want to make sure you get on there periodically. That should be part of your kind of self-maintenance. Every 3 months or so, you do a complete like LinkedIn profile review and get on there and update it. If you do a course, even if it's just, just kind of a standard like month-long Udemy course or something like that, get on there and update your skills. Always a good thing. Okay. But yeah, you've got 100. But a lot of them early on, if you've only got a handful of technical skills, that's fine. Just get on there and update like soft skills, problem solving, communication, public speaking, blah, blah, blah. I wouldn't put those things in your resume just because if it's in your resume, you want to be able to demonstrate. But just listing 100 skills, I mean, that just tickles the algorithm for when people go searching for you and they say, I want a person who has SQL Excel and also has experience public speaking. Okay. If you come up on the search and they say, if they eventually ask you, like, name your public speaking experience and it's not super robust, well, don't lie. Um, but yeah, having something on there to tweak an algorithm or a search engine, like, there's nothing wrong with that. So, okay. Let's talk about interviews. If anybody's got a question about interviews, I don't think we really talked about that too much. Um, Biggest thing, I mean, people asking for book recommendations, highly recommend two books. Number one, the absolute king of job hunting and interview books right now for me is Reverse the Search by Madeline Mann. My people, my OGs, they know, like, adore Madeline Mann. She's the queen. But her book is must read if you are job searching right now. So I would say, like, yeah, my book's must read too, but general job search and interview goodness, Reverse the Search by Madeline Mann. A pretty close second is a book called Nobody Cares About Your Career by Erica Ayers Badan. She was the COO of whatchamacallit, Barstool Sports. And book is brilliant. And it's a lot of storytelling. So Reverse the Search is not storytelling. I mean, it is all hard hitting stuff. Nobody Cares About Your Career is more storytelling, but then there's lessons at the end of each story. And the stories are fascinating. So awesome. Those two books, highly recommend them. Now just don't do what I do. You take everything to a place of guilt where you're like, Artesia, Anya, you people like checking it, you got the green banner, you're trying to find jobs and you're like, now I've got to read this book and this book and that. No, don't do that. Don't do that. The right book's going to find you at the right time. But I would say, like, pick one of the, if you're only going to read one, read Reverse the Search. Highly recommend. You'll be better for it. But interviews, Madeline says this in Reverse the Search. I have said this. I just didn't have the awesome term that she used. Madeline calls this a story swipe file. You know how to answer questions in an interview. You should rehearse basic things like tell me about yourself or tell me about a time when blah, blah, blah. But those behavioral questions that tell me about a time when you resolved an issue with a difficult coworker. Tell me about a time when you had to compromise on what you wanted at a job because there was a conflict. Tell me all of those things. You can find lists of those questions out there and you can study for them. What carries the day with behavioral questions is storytelling. You want to tell a story because that is what's going to stick in the interviewer's mind. You can sit there and word salad your way through a question like, tell me about a time you resolved a conflict. Well, my brother, he wanted half of my peanut butter sandwich. And But if you can tell a story in a way that conveys an emotion, if somebody asks me about resolving a conflict with a challenging or dealing with a challenging individual at work, I tell them the story of Master Gunnery Sergeant Donald G. Byrd. And to this day, saying the man's name gives me a visceral reaction. I did not get along with this man. I didn't respect him. I didn't think I thought he was dishonest. Um, I don't. I dislike him to this day. If I saw him right now, I would probably not go say hello to him. And there's good reason for that. And I'm not that kind of guy generally. I will say hi to just about anybody. But yeah, I can tell that story in such a way that I'll have my audience disliking the guy. And then I'll talk about the deeply unsatisfying compromise that I had to come to with him and my boss so that we could all work harmoniously, more or less, until he got fired because he was dishonest. So yeah, that's what I would say on that. Like get 8 or 10 stories that you can tell and you can adapt them to different things. So I can talk about Master Gun Byrd in like 2 or 3 different kinds of questions. Anytime they say, "Hey, tell me about a time you had to work with a person who was a complete idiot or who was you're pretty sure was committing some sort of fraud," or yeah, that's my answer to all of those. Anyway, but yeah, I would just say get that story swipe file, get a list of them, rehearse them, be able to tell those stories, and then match them to those lists of common interview behavioral questions. When am I going to bust out my Master Guns Byrd story? Right? When am I going to bust out my when I got the Commandant's pet project killed because it would have been a waste of $20 million of taxpayer money? Yeah, those are all good stories, but you got to hit them at the right time. So that's the kind of the key to interview. Everything else is just looking competent and maintain eye contact, but not weird about it either. Okay, cool. A couple of things that I want to talk to you guys about. So, I don't know if I want to put this up on screen. So I believe I did mention that I'm going to run Data Career Academy again. Now, I didn't promote this session well, so I'll probably do another information session next week. If you are curious, or if you want to do Data Career Academy, hold on. Oh my gosh, my slide presentation skills are just lacking. There we go. Okay, I'll put this in the comments, in the notes on YouTube, and in the comments on LinkedIn. But share the screen, Dopey. There we go. Window. There. Okay. Hey. All right. So themajordata.com is my website. I think I mentioned that. DC Academy, not District of Columbia, but Data Career Academy. So themajordata.com/DC Academy. That's going to bring up a form that you've got to fill out. I will probably take 30 or 40, if we get that many people for the class. It is going to start on February 9th. I think did I do a graphic? I did. Look at that. February 9th. And there's my question. So I've gone back and forth on this, like charging money. I'll explain it to y'all. And if you're not curious about this, just go ahead and drop off. If you give me a specific reference to something I've said tonight, when you fill out that form, you will definitely get that absolutely free. Okay, so that is my thank you to you for either watching the recording or for sticking to the end. Data Career Academy, I won't charge anything to you. Here's why I think I should charge money for it. Not only does pay for me make me more invested in the quality of the result, which the quality of the result is great. And I've done this class twice before for free anyway. But not only does me getting a little money in my pocket make me invested in the quality of the output and the class, it makes you invested in the learning. And you know it's true. You know it's true. The things that you get for free, you do not value. I cannot tell you the number of times that I have gone to some event and it'll be a career event and they're like, hey, can we give away a resume revamp for free? And I say, sure. And I tell them what the sticker price is, and they say, whatever it was at the time, it was usually like $200. So $200 value resume revamp for free. Over the years, I have probably given away the full resume revamp package 15 or 20 times. Guess how many times people have actually come to me to get that resume? 0. Over 200 times, people have paid me hundreds of dollars for a resume. 15 or 20 times I've given them away for free. Those people don't take them. When I give away free resumes to close friends and immediate family, guess how many of them use those resumes? Almost none. My kids do. They use the ones I've written for them. Yeah. When I have a close friend and they say, hey, can you work on my resume? I say, sure, let's schedule an appointment. Guess how often they show up for the appointment? Rarely. So all of this to tell me when you get something for free, you do not value it. So I'm just curious, if you have a suggestion, what should I charge? This is essentially a 3-week course. I teach the class 3 nights a week and it's 9 sessions. So I usually do it Monday, Tuesday, Thursday. So that way we're not meeting on Friday night because nobody would show up. The classes go 8 to 10-ish. I usually schedule them for 8 to 9:30, but I'm never done at 9:30. So we do two little blocks and I give a quick break in between or I'll give a little homework and then we go to the bathroom, whatever. But yeah, Data Career Academy. I taught it twice last year. It is essentially this book right here plus about 50% more content. Because if I crammed everything that I teach in that course into a book, it would be twice this size. And I want to be able to have it bound, a reasonable size. Okay. You can't do like Amazon soft cover books that are like 400 pages. They don't hold together. So anyway, Data Career Academy, it is a great value. I am thinking about people that didn't come to this here tonight. I was thinking about $47. Then I was like, maybe if I just did like $20 or $25 or something like that. I don't know. I'm a terrible businessman. I really am. In case you haven't figured that out so far. So anyway, there, Data Career Academy. So anyway, any questions about that? I will kill that and hit refresh. Uno mas tiempo. Anyway, one more time. My Spanglish is suffering. Okay, Artesia's got to go. Thanks for everything. You're welcome, and thank you for coming, Artesia, and thanks for all the great questions. Everybody else, thanks for all the great questions. We are going to wrap it up there. Awesome session. Love the questions. Love the interaction. One of these days, I'll get all of the streaming nodes to work properly. Maybe I might have to go to Riverside or something instead of StreamYard, but no disrespect, StreamYard. Okay, everybody, thanks for coming tonight. Thanks for being here. Thanks for participating. And with that, folks, Semper Fidelis, and I'll talk to you later.